Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift the Eras Tour. Presented by Capital One. Ooh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Wow, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
It's the sound of new EV charging stations at our state parks. It's the sound of $17.5 billion in new investments to produce EVs and batteries in Michigan. And that's the silence of Michigan's new in-road wireless charging system. Discover all the ways MEDC is driving next-gen mobility in Michigan at michiganbusiness.org/radio.
To get the latest NHL news and hear the biggest games, NHL Network Radio is on Channel 91 and the SXM app, free for most subscribers.
Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM, we want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artist you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
Get the SiriusXM app and listen on your phone when you get out of the car. Anywhere you take your phone, you can take Howard Stern, NFL Radio, and commercial-free music channels from nearly every genre. You never have to miss your favorite SiriusXM programs or commercial-free music. Find the SiriusXM app in the App Store or call 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/app to find out more. Hey! The open road calls this 4th of July, and it's never sounded so good. SiriusXM Road Trip Radio comes to Channel 105. Miles of driving jams and sing-alongs built to please the whole car full.
I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere.
Road Trip Radio for a limited time on Channel 105 starting Friday and year-round in the SXM app, along with a new listener-voted Top 66 Road Trip Songs Countdown.
When you're a SiriusXM subscriber, you've got access to commercial-free music, channels from almost every genre, and channels created in conjunction with the biggest names in music. Eminem's Shade 45, Pearl Jam Radio, Bruce Springsteen's E Street Radio, and more. Visit www.siriusxm.com/go to sign up online quickly or call 844-711-8800 now. Activate your radio and start listening now.
Cubs win the World Series. The Bulls win it. They win for the 6th time.
Is adding a new chapter as NASCAR takes over the streets of Chicago. This holiday weekend, don't miss NASCAR's first ever Chicago Street Course race, the Grant Park 220.
Kyle Busch charging to the inside, a multi-car pileup.
Sunday at 4:30 Eastern on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90, and the SXM app.
Holy cow!
Sports Grid Radio. These two teams score too much. I got it at 2.5. I don't care if it's 1.5. Our team is led by Scott Farrell, plus other leaders in the field like Gabe Morenz and Ben Stevens. 38.5. I am going to hammer the over. We'll provide you with the winning edge to stay ahead of the lines. Join us before the game, during the game, or after on Sports Grid Radio. Sirius XM Channel 159. The only 24/7 channel dedicated solely to sports wagering and handicapping. Legendary voice Scott Farrell leads our team of experts before, during, and after every game.
70% of the money was on the under. I bet the over and hit it.
Get the winning edge over the sports books. Find out who to bet. Find out how to bet and why.
They have entered as a minus 125 favorite. The number now is minus 500.
Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM Channel 159, and always on the SXM app.
Football superstar Torrey Holt. Who's the next Torrey Holt of fantasy football? The answers are right here on Fantasy Sports Radio.
Get your
Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM, we want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artist you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer. Triumph. Your life.
This is Dr. Laura. If you want some no-nonsense advice, call me.
Your future. Dave Ramsey here will give you the proven strategies for your life, your money,
your point of view.
It's me, Megan Kelly. Smart, in-depth, fun, sometimes provocative conversations on this show. I'm not going to hold back.
Plus, inspiring views with Glenn Beck and daily bombshells on crime stories with Nancy Grace. To hear SiriusXM Triumph, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or go to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. I love saying welcome to the show. I mean, we're talking of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. According to me, and people who like the universe, and that would include you too. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? I'm telling you, today's show is a beautiful June the 28th, 2023. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit you with the good Lord split you, and tell them Big C sent you. Get us some praise. You follow Big C Sports Podcast. It's like the Super Bowl starts tomorrow. Today is the California Reparations Task Force Eve. We're having task force parties all over the universe. You follow Big C Sports Podcast on Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, GeoSavan Podcast out of London, England, as well as India and Africa. You can find us on Podtail, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbay, Good Pods Podcast, Verbal Podcast, Podcast Podyssey, Podcast Republic, and the only one that used to scare me and then it stopped. And then it started scaring me again. It's the one with the robots. It's called allfeeds.ai. The robots are trying to take over. Give the robots some praise. But I have a release button, a safety switch. I heard it long ago in a galaxy far, far away from a man that's responsible for making more babies in the history of the universe. The great Teddy Pendergrass. When he had a song, it was called Turn Off the Lights. And if you didn't listen fast enough, Teddy would say, turn them off. He would always yell. So I've learned to do that too. It's kind of forceful. It makes me feel important when I can yell and the robots listen. You can also follow Big C Sports Podcast, streaming OTT on 4 TV podcast platforms all over the universe. You can find us on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. I want you to give that some praise. As long as my voice can hold up, I feel great. I feel good. I feel terrific. I love things that are going on with the California Reparations Task Force. Today's show is a little bit different, but I love paying homage to our veterans. Crisis Hotline, they are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. They will stand on their head to get our veterans some help. If you know anybody going through issues, and a lot of people are, pick up the phone, let them know there's help on the other side, 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give them some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on. Now, don't say I didn't tell you this. And I'm just one beautiful, intelligent black man operating all over the universe. I was saying that I pay homage to the 800 gamblers, sports betting in the United States. Sports betting in the United States is $1 billion proposition. Yeah. You ever get proposition for it? What would you do if someone offered you $1 billion? Some people say, I'd never do something like that. If somebody offered you $1 billion, would you? If somebody offered you $1 billion, could they make you an indecent proposal? Well, how about this? What if someone stole billions of dollars? Would you want them to pay it back? Reparations means you got to pay it back, because when you're a lawmaker and you put your hand on the Bible and you say, "Tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God," that means something. It means something, and I'm going to talk about reparations most of this show, but I will get into some sports betting. 800 Gambler, there's a story that just came out in the NFL, and I'm sure it's in all sports. I'm not going to mention the players' names, because anyone can be accused of anything. I've been accused of yelling too loud. And not everybody agrees. But 800 Gambler, if you know people that are dealing with gambling issues and they're gambling away all their money that can buy food, clothing, and shelter, that they probably have a problem. And even the gaming industry, they tell you they come with substantial risk. And there's rumors that some NFL players, I'll touch on it later, may have been caught with their hand in the cookie jar. But hey, you invited the cookie jar in. So why would you get mad at the players when the owners in the league allowed the cookie jar to come in the house in the first place? That's like bringing some cookies, freshly baked cookies, into a classroom of kindergartners, and you say don't eat the cookies. You can look but don't touch. Yeah, a lot of guys are touching. 800 Gambler if you're touching, if that makes sense to you. I want to do what I always do on my program. I always tell you with Big C Sports Podcast, I have no producer in my ear. I do my show fresh daily. Like the collard greens and in the fish that I had last night with my collard greens. I always produce the show. That's number one. Number two, I direct the topics. Number three, I broadcast all the shows. Number four, I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more reparations in our lives. That's true. We all know that. And then I'm telling you, the commercials are done, the stats provided, the storytelling, the play-by-play. As you always hear, runners on first and third. The counts full. The pitch, curveball, slow, deep, left field, back to the wall, home run. I say hello to my little friends. They love saying, the girls love the bone ball, and men love to hit deep. All's fair and love and war. Then the show is up. So it's uploaded to 27 multiple podcast platforms all over the universe. And I never missed a show since creating Big C Sports back in the day with the crew. I love paying homage to my beautiful family legacy. On my mother's side, called her Mama, beautiful, loving, kind woman, always making sure lots of love in the family and lots of food in the belly. Then on my father's side, on my great-grandfather's side, my great-grandfather called him Pop, former military man and Negro League baseball player, known around his church buddies as praying reparations now, reparations forever. They always believed in putting their heads together, but two or more agree. Oftentimes, God listens more. So I heard about reparations a long, long ago in a galaxy far, far away. Really do appreciate Pop can fix anything, planes, trains, and automobiles with his bare hands. He even learned how to deliver babies. And he tried to teach us everything. You know, how to fix a vehicle, how to fix a lawnmower if the spark plug wasn't sparking. Yeah, how to clean the bicycle chain without just buying another chain. But he refused to teach us how to deliver babies. He told us advice on how not to make babies, but he didn't give us advice on how to deliver babies if you meet him. Everybody needs to learn that skill, if that makes sense to you. And then my beautiful grandmother called her Mud Dear, beautiful, loving, kind woman, always making sure lots of love in the family. and lots of food in the belly. Really do appreciate her. She was a seer. She could look at a person, tell you a lot about their past, present, and their future, and she would often say, I see reparations in your life. Oh, friend, loving word. Really do appreciate her. Then my grandfather, Hezekiah, another wonderful person. A seer can oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, their present, and their future. Really do appreciate him. And then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. She started a Head Start program, a food program, and then coached an all-boys and Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe in an all-men's league. Give mama some praise. I said, give me some praise. How many women can start a Head Start program, a food program, and then coach an all-boys Little League baseball team to the championship in an all-men's league? She's the first beautiful black woman to win a Little League baseball championship in Deer Hills, California. I love giving my mama praise. Always saying rise and shine. In fact, at the church, everybody wanted Mrs. Curry's cooking. And at her restaurant, everybody wanted Mrs. Curry's cooking. And at home, she say, son, what are you trying to do? Get your third plate of dinner? I said, third plate of dinner is baby crap to what I'm looking for. I'm trying to get my reparations. It's amazing how many times I had to quiet down. She said, you're going to get your reparations, but you don't got to yell so loud. But maybe yelling out is the best thing to do. Love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. The best person I ever met in my life. Really do appreciate mama. And then on my father's side, my grandfather called him Albert Curry. He was a pastor. He had 2 churches in Oakland. He built the 3rd church in Central California with his own hands. And then he owned 2 gas stations in Oakland, one on Bancroft, the other on Foothill. They were Shell gas stations. Really do appreciate him. But he also owned the seminal moment in American history. He owned 40 acres of land, just like the Emancipation Proclamation. When Frederick Douglass was working with President Abraham Lincoln to craft the Emancipation Proclamation, and where every free black person was supposed to get 40 acres of the mule on freedom, because black soldiers helped the Union win the Civil War. The Southern Confederates, the Klan members, they were winning, but the black soldiers helped the Union win the Civil War. And after we helped them win, they stole the land and gave it back to the Ku Klux Klan, the segregationists. And that's going to be talked about also with the Reparations Task Force. A lot of great things happening. Really do appreciate it. And I just can't wait to be a part of it. And then my beautiful grandmother, Alberta Curry, working side by side with my grandfather with the 2 churches in Oakland and building a 3rd church in Central California. And then the 2 gas stations that they own in Oakland. I was 8 years old, walking through a hallway, trying to sneak some more cookies about 10 o'clock at night. And she touched me on my forehead, and I said, what in the world is she doing up? She normally goes to bed by 8:30. But she touched me on my head, and she said, are you going to get some more cookies, young man? I said, cookies are maybe crap to what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get my reparations. I don't know why I thought that was funny, but it's a true story. I heard about reparations a long time ago. It just means to repair. And since my granddaddy owned a gas station and a service station where you can take your car to get repaired when something's broken. Give repairing something that's broken some praise. Don't act like the car's not broken. You hear it squealing going down the road. There's smoke's coming all out of the hood. Don't just put on the windshield wipers. Pull on the side of the road and go get some help, if that makes sense to you. Really do appreciate my grandparents. And then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that airplanes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Always saying develop your mind to its highest extent. In fact, my dad's the first one to tell me about the SR-71 Blackbird. It can fly from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. in 1 hour and 8 minutes. But his roommate in the Air Force was the late Al Freeman Jr., who played the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, one of my favorite movies, Malcolm X, that was written and produced by the great Spike Lee and acted by my favorite actor, the great Denzel Washington. And I love the part where Denzel said, reparations now, reparations forever. And that's where he won an award for that. And sometimes people wonder, do we really... I'm telling you, I've had a seminal moment. I've gotten about 3, maybe 4 hours of sleep the last couple of nights. I've just been manifesting so much in my mind. There's so much that I want to read, but there's only 24 hours in a day. So whatever it is, I feel so honored to be a part of what I'm doing, and just really do appreciate it. And things that I learned about in the past, it's like it's coming in full circle. And love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful brother Todd, with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning. When topic to speak. Reparations reader, always saying go forward. We talk so much about sports and politics, and we even had a lot of conversations about reparations and how they would happen. It's amazing because it's happening now. I love it so much. I've reached out to so many news outlets all over the country today, and they're excited about reparations and give that some praise. There's so much that needs to be done to repair. And I look forward to hearing everything that's coming together tomorrow at the Reparations Task Force meeting. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then I love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Then my beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years from a major university. And she also helped set up the very first interview for Big C Sports back at Salem Media. It became the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. It was because of Big C in the crew. And I still got the letter from Stacey Matters that calls us the dream team. But some good old boy said if 2 N-words can do it, we can bring in some insurrectionists. And they caused shenanigans. And the show went away. I'm still grinding. I'm still standing. I'm so honored to things that are going on. It's a seminal moment, like a clarion call in the United States, and a lot of good people are behind it. These are not the days of Governor Wallace where he said, segregation now, segregation forever. Those days are over. I know there's still a few, I could say, knucklehead people who think that way, or people who are evil, or just not well educated. They don't understand how free labor helped create a big gulf in haves and have-nots when land was stolen from the group of people that helped you win the Civil War, and they were given nothing. They were said, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But the people who lost the Civil War were given the awards, the land, the money, the resources. Imagine we just got through the NBA championship where the Denver Nuggets they won the NBA championship. They beat the Miami Heat. Imagine if they had given the trophy to the team that lost, the Miami Heat. What if they had given the trophy to the team that lost, the Miami Heat? And people say, oh, they would never do that. Well, Congress did when they gave the award for black American soldiers and black families 40 acres and a mule. They gave it to the opposition. Andrew Johnson, when Lincoln was assassinated, he was a bigot. And he gave the land back to the Ku Klux Klan and the Southern Confederates. And that's not right. That should be repaired. Even if you're the most evil person in the world, you got to know that was wrong. And I believe for the politicians that put their hands on the Bible and they say, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. There's no way they can say that reparations are due for the descendants of chattel slavery. And Big C Sports wants to champion that cause, and that's why I talk about it so much. I'm a voracious reader. I love getting knowledge. Knowledge is ontological. You got to read it to understand it, and then I talk about it. I just want good people to stand up and give that some praise. We just need good people. That's all we need. Really do appreciate my daughter Daisy, and she would also help set up in college courses. But come to the West Coast and do work with Big C Sports. Just appreciate her. Very smart. I always pray. Isaiah 54:17. That no weapon formed against you will prosper. You can be anything you want. Daisy one time scored 6 goals in a soccer game. Like the $6 billion. 6 goals. It was like Daisy with a kick. Daisy for the goal! The goal! 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 And she did it with her left foot. She's right-footed kicker, so she's ambidextrous. Never forget that. You can be anything you want to be and love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Then my handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. Very smart, college student, erudite, just a good man. Malcolm actually can be anything you want to be. Isaiah 54:17, always trust God. Malcolm, he helped me save trees. I used to always get newspapers and go to the papers looking up stats for players and teams for Big C Sports Podcast. And one day Malcolm said something that just, he made me pay attention. He said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And I've been Googling ever since. I've been saving newspapers, not having to go get newspapers anymore because of technology. You can be anything you want to be, son. But just like reparations were passed this year, Malcolm told me, he said, Dad, do you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote. He said, aim it at the TV and say, play Big C Sports, and your show will come up. It comes up on the iHeartRadio app and on podcasting. It also comes up on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. He said that before it was even on the air. And shortly after it was on the air. You don't have to wait until you see things to see them with your third eye. The pineal gland. My son spoke about it before it even came on television. And now I always say Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Always pray, pray, pray. You can be anything you want to be. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Then Big C, with all that wealth and knowledge over the years, just like my great-granddaddy coming out of that barn with his church buddies, always saying you gotta believe, you gotta believe, you gotta believe. So let's get ready to rumble. Love saying welcome to the show. Every nominated Big C Sports podcast. I have no scripts. I have no teleprompter, no producer in my ear. My show is a lot like Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV. I want to thank them for bringing Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And give that some praise. Sometimes I think about what we're going to hear tomorrow with the reparations meeting. I'm going to get into it because it's important. It's about solutions, and it's going to take place at the state capital of the fourth largest economy in the entire world. The state capital of California. There's so much going on with this task force. It's been a mandate for 2 years. So the California Reparations Task Force is the 16th meeting. Let's make history with the final report. Join the last in-person meeting. It is Thursday, June 29th, 2023 at 9 a.m. The location is Mark Fong, EU Secretary of State Building, 1500 11th Street, and the first floor auditorium. It will be a packed house, so get there early. If you want more information on it, go to oag.ca.gov/AB3121/meetings. That's oag.ca.gov/AB3121/meetings. So many people have their thoughts about it, and at the task force, the meeting tomorrow would be the chair, Camila Moore. We will have also the Dr. Amos C. Brown, the vice chair, and then the best senator in California, Senator Stephen Bradford, who's responsible for name, image, and likeness. That's why college athletes can get paid. We have a council member, Monica Montgomery Steppe. We have Assembly member, Reginald Jones Sawyer, Dr. Cheryl Gillis, Lisa Holder, Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, a professor at Berkeley, and then Donald K. Tamaki. They'll all be there giving that praise. And there's a lot of other luminaries that will be there as well, as well as Reverend Tony Pierce, the president and CEO of the National Black Wall Street Project. Just a lot of great things. I want to give that some praise. In media, I've talked to media from Sea to Shining Sea, and there are a lot of people that will be there. Really do appreciate it. And for those few people that just don't read a lot, when they say, "Oh, we don't need no reparations," those people are pretty much just behind the times. And I want to also bring to attention, it's important. You can Google Survivors Today Act of 2017. It's called the Justice for Uncompensated Survivors Today Act of 2017. United States legislation that requires the State Department to report to Congress on steps that 47 countries in Europe have taken to compensate Holocaust survivors and their heirs for assets seized by Nazi Germany. It's time for Black Americans to get their repair. We've always prayed and paid homage to our Jewish brethren. You know, there's something that President Biden signed, executive order, when he got into office. He signed a seminal moment in history, advancing racial equity in the United States. President Biden did that. A lot of people don't pay attention to it, but that's what he did. He has a chance to executive order to do what a lot of people believe. If something's broken, repair it. If your car is broken, you take it to the shop to have it repaired. If your finger's broken, you go to the doctor to get it repaired. If your shoe heel is broken, you take it back to the shoe store to get it repaired. If anything is broken, If furniture breaks, you go back to the place where you bought it and tell them it fell apart. If they try to repair it. People have their cell phones, something happens to them, they buy the repair plan. When you're driving your car and something goes wrong with it, if that part is insured, you get it repaired. If someone steals land from you and resources, you go to the court system because they put their hand on the Bible and they say, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. And that's what they're doing now with reparations. I'm excited about it. It's a similar moment in the United States. Things that happen in California sweep the country because they say people are smarter and better looking in California, and I kind of agree with that too. I love the fact that we can talk about things that are fun and things that are serious, but it's really time for people to understand it's time. It's just time. No more shucking and jiving. We want what our Jewish brethren got, and they got paid. They got reparations, and you know who helped end Hitler's reign? Black soldiers. I want to give a special shout out. It's called A Safe Place Worship Center, International Ministries. It's at 1200 North George Street in Goldsboro, North Carolina. North Carolina! The zip code is 27530. By the Apostle Annette Parker, who's done some great prophesizing over BC. July the 2nd, 2023, they're launching this service. The first and fourth Sundays at 3 o'clock p.m., the fifth Sundays at 11 o'clock a.m. You can contact 919-394-5013. That's 919-394-5013 and get that some praise. A lot of people have been praying on a lot of things. Really do appreciate Apostle Annette Parker. She's amazing and has really been just a blessing since meeting her. I want to talk about something that's going on that we all know about, and the reparations, obviously. I'm so excited about it. I just appreciate even some of our conservative brethren, once they get the knowledge, they say, you know what? There needs to be repair. I mean, there are always some knuckleheads that say, oh, we don't owe you nothing. Even Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, they know that repair needs to happen. To say that, I don't believe we should pay reparations for something that happened over 150 years ago, he knows he was wrong about saying that. And what the Bible say, when you have those politicians in office, it said, put your hand on the Bible, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. You gotta listen to that. Because all I'm saying is Google what I say. I'm one beautiful, intelligent black man. I feel like I'm the only sports podcaster in the universe that wants to talk about facts that are more important to black Americans and white Americans than who won a game. Because without black Americans fighting in the Civil War, there'd be no sports the way we know. We would still have a segregated country unless someone had come along and change things. But what makes you think that would have happened? Not one president since President Abraham Lincoln has honored President Abraham Lincoln's word to give descendants of chattel slavery 40 acres and a mule. Not one president has done that. Not one. Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not one. And that's a shame because he did something that was just. It's like Dr. King said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And no one can look at slavery and how black soldiers were told if you fight to help the Union beat the Southern Confederates, that you'll earn your freedom and we'll give you 40 acres of land to get on your feet. And that was robbed from black Americans. And not one person can come along with their hand on the Bible and say they should not be repaired. Not one. Not one. And that's why I'm very proud. I've been talking about reparations really since I started Big C Sports, but especially since about 2017. And things that I've been talking about, I'm one beautiful, intelligent black man. I don't have $1 million studio. I have a $6 billion voice. I don't have 50 people in my research department. I got me, myself, and God. And I do the best I can. My friend Google helped me out too. But I'm one person that wants to speak the truth. I want to see some justice done in this country. And I believe the heart of all good people. No one is fighting that our Jewish brethren get reparations from the Holocaust. Black American soldiers helped liberate what happened in the Holocaust. They helped end Hitler's reign. Still nothing. But that's going to change. Give change some praise. I know they got us mostly hoodwinked singing, touchdown, homer, three-point play, oh man Willie, he's going all the way. And a lot of guys, they rally around football, basketball, baseball. But I believe if we can just get this clarion call for descendants of chattel slavery to get repaired, freedmen, I want to see people cheer as if they cheer for a game. When they see black men and black women run up and down the courts, scoring points, making baskets, hitting home runs, scoring touchdowns. Because decent people are for reparations. Decent people are. Not everybody's decent, but decent people are, and that's why I want to give that praise. So much I'm looking forward to. I can't wait until we get to the point. I also tell people, Dr. Claude Anderson wrote a book called Black Labor, White Wealth, and he provides reparations must be done. It must get executive order. Don't worry about going to the people who are oppose you. If you oppose reparations, then you're tacitly consenting to the segregation policies of the Jim Crow era. If you oppose reparations, you are tacitly consenting to the Jim Crow policies that stole land and resources from the same group of people that helped you win the war, the Civil War. And that's got to change because that's crooked. Dr. Anderson's first book is a classic. It tracks slavery and Jim Crow public policies that use black labor to construct a super powerful nation called the United States of America. It was a union until black American soldiers fought. It details how black people were socially engineered into the lowest level of a real-life monopoly game, in which they're neither winning nor playing the game. I just want decent people, and there are a lot of good, decent people in this country. But just because you're white, it doesn't mean you're evil. But there's a lot of white people who fought reparations. And they know that the Union won. And the ones that read, they know that black Americans were promised 40 acres and a mule. The Emancipation Proclamation by President Abraham Lincoln. The Emancipation Proclamation did not end slavery. It was the 13th Amendment that ended slavery. Unless you're in prison, then you're in indentured servitude. But people know that. People that don't read, I don't even want to talk to them. They're too busy not reading. But for people that, especially the lawmakers, the decent lawmakers, the one that put their hand on the Bible and say, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. And it's about the law. I've talked to many clergy, and there are a lot of clergy behind, but the clergy doesn't have the same power of the pen. Only President Biden has the power of the pen to do what President Abraham Lincoln did. You can't tell me that President Abraham Lincoln was the only decent president of the United States. Everybody else been shucking and jiving. They didn't shuck and jive when the Marshall Plan that rebuilt Europe. Black Americans helped win the war. The GI Bill, they only gave money and resources and property to white American soldiers. They told black soldiers no. The Homestead Act of 1862, it gave reparations to white Americans and even white Europeans. It gave over 276 million acres of land to white people to develop the rest of the United States. And even white Europeans, the people that built this country for free, even built the White House. They told them no. They told them no. And now we're in 2023. And now they're trying to say yes. I heard a song, you want to hear it? My mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yes. Reparations needs to happen. And it will happen. And I just thank the good people of this great country to repair. Just like the broken heel on your shoe, you want it repaired. Just like your car that got a fender bender, you want it repaired. Just like your cell phone got a crack in the glass, you want it repaired. If something happens where your house gets run into or flooded out by the storms in Dim Dare Hills, California, you want to repair it. You don't say leave it like it is. If people go home and everything's going out of their house, they don't say, oh, well, somebody stole it, let them keep it. They call 911. They call the police, and they file a police report so they can hopefully get their stuff back. They want their belongings back. Black Americans deserve the same thing that every other citizen has so we can form a more perfect union. I'm only talking to decent people. I don't want to talk to the people who don't read. There's no way you can read the information you're going to hear at the Reparations Task Force meeting, and there's no way you can hear that stuff as an intelligent person and say, well, there's nothing we can do about it. There was less effort put into giving President Zelensky of the Ukraine over $100 billion. And black Americans still having a task force. But justice will come. Justice is now. Dr. Martin Luther King, I love this quote that he said, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep listening to Big C Sports and give that some praise and keep moving forward. I like the way I taught that in there because it's true. Because I scour the universe, and I can't find other sports shows talking about the most seminal moment in the history for black Americans since the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment. President Lyndon Baines Johnson, when he signed the Civil Rights Bill, he didn't do it because he wanted to. He did it to curry favor, no pun intended. He wanted to curry favor from black voters. It's just time to do the right thing. So give doing the right thing some praise. Today's show is a little bit shorter because I'm getting ready. There's a lot of work to be done for tomorrow. Big C Sports will be speaking at the task force hearing, California Reparations Task Force hearing. It's the 16th meeting. It's going to make history. Thursday, June 29th, 2023, 9 a.m. There's also a press conference going to be held at 7 a.m. So get there early. There's a lot of streets have been blocked off, and it's a work day, so people still have to work. But it's a day to take the day off and go see what's going on. That's going to change. It's going to change the United States because the United States has been broken, and good people are going to repair it. Give good people some praise. We're going to make the repair. We're going to make the repair now. That's important. The location is the Mark Strong EU Secretary of State Building, 1511th Street, first floor auditorium, Sacramento, California, 95814. It's going to be national news. It's going to be covered by all the networks all over the United States of America. And you got to give that praise. I've been talking about it like the Super Bowl. It really is a Super Bowl for civil rights for black America. I know people love when they play, you have a uniform on and run up and down the field and go out, touchdown, home run, 3-point play, oh man Willie, he's going all the way. Well, people love that too, and sports is great. But I thank God for being able to talk about things that are important on my mind, and I don't just want to suck and jive. Life is too important for that. So I want to give that some praise again. I'm going to talk a little bit about some sports that came up. I mean, it's going to be reported probably more by the end of the week. But it came out of the New York Post. A handful of NFL players are facing season-long gambling suspensions. What show talks about 800 Gambler on every podcast? Big C Sports. Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And now you got some NFL players that should have listened. There's a handful of NFL players, so far might be more, facing season-long gambling suspensions. Don't tell me Big C Sports didn't tell you that. They call it an error in judgment. It's going to cost some players the entire 2023 season. I'm not going to mention the names, but there's some players that have been caught with their hand in the cookie jar. And I'm gonna say, if the league doesn't want players betting on sports, why are you putting gaming logos on jerseys and uniforms and getting the money? Who's getting the money? And for people that say, oh yeah, but you know the rule, don't break the rule. Well, if the person that created the rule got his hand in the cookie jar, but when you put your hand in the cookie jar, they slap your hand and say, it's not for you, man. Remember in Scarface, when Manny, he was trying to date Scarface's sister, and he said, she's not for you, man. She's not for you. And think about this. If the NFL and the NBA and Major League Baseball and hockey and all the other great sports, if they don't want their players betting on sports, why are they letting the sports companies and the gaming industry all over the sports world? I was going for a walk this morning along the lake, and there's a lot of ducks that take full liberty and take a squat on the sidewalk. You would think they would have the decency to squat on the grass or even squat in the lake. But some of these ducks, they will squat on the sidewalk. You know, walking through the sidewalk is like a landmine. It's hard not to step on some of the squat. I'm tiptoeing through the tulips, trying to keep my shoes clean. But those ducks, you think those ducks care? No, they don't. They pay no price. And the gaming industry is squatting on the sports leagues. And they're telling players to duck, tiptoe around the surface. Now, the owners, they can play. They can gamble. But you can't. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. I heard that growing up. Still don't know what it means. But it's good for the owners to be able to make money from that industry. Why are we punishing players for doing what the owners say that they're doing? Sports is tough enough for a lot of men to make the business. And people get sucked into it. Will Smith did a movie called Focus. And it's probably more real than people want to give it credit for. It's called Focus. You can Google it. He didn't slap anybody, but it was called Focus. I think Margaret Robbie was in the movie with him. Called Focus. And it is probably more real than people would realize. I always talked about in Pulp Fiction where Ben Rames told Bruce Willis before the big fight, he said, your butt goes down in the 5th round. See that flip? And so Bruce Willis said, my butt goes down in the 5th round. And he told him, he said, that stinging sensation you're feeling, well, that's just pride flipping with you. And he told him what the sports leagues are telling athletes right now. He said, look, pride, we can bet, but you can't. It's just not right. But we know it's a money business, and the owners are going to keep money coming in, hand over fist. But if the players play the same game, if they even swim in the same pool, they're going to get fined because they don't want people throwing games. But how do we know? We don't know. But when I watched the movie Focus, you would think, oh man, that's just make-believe. But is it really? When the players that they're naming are caught up in the shenanigans, who knows if a player accidentally fumbles a football on the 1-yard line when Cleveland was playing Denver back in the day? Who knows if there's an immaculate reception when the ball hit the ground or not? Who knows? Who knows if the tuck rule when Tom Brady was hit and fumbled the football was walking up the field with his head down. Somebody made a phone call and said, hold on. They said pass incomplete. And they came back on and kicked the field goal, Adam Vinatieri, and they went on and won the game. I mean, who knows? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But it's a shame. I would say if you're going to punish players for something that you brought into the house, then take it out of the house. But the owners are not going to take it out of the house because it makes too much money. And they're just not. And people have issues. There are people who have been forced to sit out already last year for placing bets at a team facility. And now we have sports in bed with in the golf world with the LIV. They're in bed with those good boys with all their human rights violations. Everybody wants to punish the athlete, but not the owner that brought the gaming and even put the logos on jerseys. It's all over basketball jerseys. Football, too. There's so many people that are making money hand over fist, but they don't want to let the athletes do it. And you say you make the rules because you have the money. Well, the rules should apply to everybody. It should, but it doesn't. I'm going to touch on just a few more things before I close out today, because it's important to me as a beautiful, intelligent black man that owns Big C Sports Podcast, and I love doing what I'm able to do. It's important to me that I don't just come on and talk about a sports game, because so many of us have been forced into just putting on a uniform when there's so much opportunity in this country, but if you're kept out of the opportunity, then it's hard to get in at times, but you got to make your own way. I want to talk about a PGA player by the name of Charlie Sifford, and everybody has their own thoughts. At the peak of his career in the 1950s, he's a black golfer. Charlie Sifford was a top player on the All-Black United Golf Association Tour, winning tournaments. That's important because the PGA was still segregated. But he was winning tournaments that included leading white professional golfers. But he could not qualify to be a card-carrying member of the PGA Tour because of the racism with the PGA. But you know, just like reparations, the PGA, they changed. And they changed for the better. And they allowed black men to join. And when you think about it, the reason the PGA of America's bylaws contain a Caucasians-only clause, the recessive trait, a Caucasians-only clause, it's just like the Emancipation Proclamation. When land was taken from black Americans who helped the United States win the war, the Civil War, the resources in the land only went to white people for losing. In 1961, at age 38, Sifford became a PGA Tour rookie after the PGA of America was forced to strike that clause from its bylaws. They were forced to. After nearly 30 years, that victory has won in part due to the efforts of other black golfers like Bill Spiller and Ted Rhodes, who fought to play in PGA events, just like people fight for reparations. What is it about the segment of our white society that has been pro-segregationist? Are they the Klan's children? Why is that? There's still people trying to not teach black history, to make it illegal to teach black history in the United States. We got to change that. There'll be some conservative radio stations tomorrow, and they're going to say, oh, we don't need no reparations. You say, yeah, Holocaust heirs got reparations. Now it's time for black Americans. Back to PGA. The PGA was hit with a lawsuit, just like reparations, against the association, and still have bent the ear of the then California Attorney General, Stanley Mosk. Just like California Governor Gavin Newsom, he mandated the task force to study reparations. Give California some praise. Because he put his hand on the Bible and said, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. So California Attorney General Stanley Mosk, he ultimately forced the PGA of America to move his 1962 PGA Championship out of his state because of the organization's discriminatory practices, and who called other state attorney generals to join the pressure campaign. The same thing must be done for reparations now, reparations forever. Every state attorney general should sign and support President Biden as he signs by executive order to implement what President Abraham Lincoln did. Give black Americans their reparations. It has to happen, and you got to give it praise. They're doing it all over the world. It's time. What that good old boy say? And now, fighting for reparations now! People think it's just a boxing metaphor, but it's not. President Biden signed an executive order advancing racial equality. You can Google it. That was his first seminal signature. And now, every United States Attorney General should support the cause that President Abraham Lincoln set out. You got to understand, it took the law to change it. Even with the PGA Tour card, Sifford had difficulty competing in tournaments in the early 60s, especially in the segregated Deep South. Because after the segregated Deep South get all that land and resources from losing the Civil War, they still began with their wickedness. But I believe that things are changing in this country. Like a reparations, even with the PGA Tour card, Sifford had difficulty competing in the Deep South. At the 1961 Greater Open, Greensboro Open, he was greeted with a litany of racist remarks as he played the course at Sedgefield Country Club. They kept saying they did not know that all life began on the African continent. All life. Every human person on the planet comes from the Eve gene. That's Dr. Leakey and Gregor Mendel. But what is it about a white society that has that enmity for their original fathers? It's ignorance that makes people think that there are two sources of human beings. There's only one, the human race. But all life came from Africa. Even if you're the dumbest person in the universe, you can Google that. Just like passing reparations, there'll be some dumb people out there that don't read. They're ignorant, knuckleheads. But let the smart people talk. Let the smart lawmakers get together and give them some praise. Because it's time to do the right thing. And just like with anything else in life, all it takes is a few good people. A few good people. And just like reparations, Sifford won twice on the PGA Tour and received many honors, including, listen up, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Give that some praise. Just like the president will sign the executive order of reparations. Before his passing in 2015, at the age of 92. Isn't that something? I wonder how good he might have been had he had the opportunities to play and practice as the white professional golfers did in their prime. Reparations has to change. We can talk about Althea Gibson. She kissed the cup. It was presented with her after having won the French International Tennis Championship in Paris in 1956. She made history as the first black woman to play both the women's tennis circuit and the Ladies Professional Golf Association in the LPGA. It's important that people understand that. You got to give that some praise. Big C Sports is like no other sports show that's out there. I want to keep bringing factual conversation in things that we can all benefit from. We all have the chance to benefit from it. Let's not act like it's not possible. That's important. That's why I love giving it praise. So as I'm going to say, tomorrow's a seminal day in the United States of America, especially California, and the whole world is watching. The whole world is watching, and Big C Sports will be there. The California Reparations Task Force meeting, the 16th meeting, is going to take place Thursday, June 29th, in Sacramento, California, at the March Fong EU Secretary of State Building, 1500 11th Street, first floor auditorium, Sacramento, California. Give that some praise. You're going to hear some great, not even arguments, but some great conversations about repair. It's good for the country. It's good to stimulate the country. Do the right thing. We got to do the right thing and give that some praise. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber, you can call Lyft, you can call a cab. You can sleep it off. You can walk it off. But don't do it. The life you save may be your own. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali would say, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat because I want my reparations now. Or he said, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. But that's the truth. We got to float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. And rumble, young men, rumble into the reparations bill that's passed. As I always tell you, on every Big C Sports Show, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day. In the words of the great President Abraham Lincoln, reparations now, reparations forever. In the words of President Abraham Lincoln, reparations now, reparations forever. In the words of the great President Abraham Lincoln, reparations now, reparations forever. Have a super fantastic day.